What do you think about the death battle episodes that you've seen so far? Do you have any favorites? Are there any future death battles that you'd like to see one day? The death battles I've seen recently, I think have for the most part been really good. I haven't loved all of them, but a lot of them have been, very very impressive, very fun to watch, just very enjoyable overall. Are there any future death battles you'd like to see? Like, not really in particular, just ones that have characters I know to some extent because I like having that personal connection. Though it is still nice to just see a brand new character and learn about them from the ground up. Do I have any favorite death battles? Yeah, I'm just gonna go with the recent death battles I've seen. Po from Kung Fu Panda versus Iron Fist, and Goku Black versus Reverse Flash because those two were really fun. My favorites, since I've come back, I'm pretty sure. So yeah, I've noticed you've been playing a lot of old games recently. Is it your plan to continue to do so? I don't have a plan at this point in time. And as I've said in previous answers, it wasn't that I was like specifically playing old games to play old games, but I'd gotten a capture card to finally work. I had the console, I had the games. I wanted games that I was personally excited to play and that I wanted to share with my viewers. And so it was just games that I grew up with. That's why they were old though, because they were like GameCube games. And I still my webcam bounced there. I don't like thinking of GameCube as an old console, but it totally is. It's from like the early 2000s, and that's like 22 years ago now, and it's dumb, but I guess so. But anyway, yeah, no plans. No plans. Another long one from No Longer Here. Q&As are fun. Here's one or two or many, some normal, some random. Question 1. What country do you want to see made into a region for a future Pokemon generation? Let's go with Japan. I've had good experiences with Japan Gen games. Do you prefer handheld or home console gaming? I prefer home console in general. Well, specifically PC. I'm a PC gamer. Favorite fruit? Yeah, that's a good question, actually. I don't really eat fruit that often. I'm not a healthy boy. Bananas are pretty good. I like bananas pretty well. In part, just because they're like so clean to eat. Like oranges, I always struggled like peeling them properly, and they're so juicy, and I don't like my hands being sticky. And then apples, it's like apples are great at the beginning, but then I'm always tired of them before I finish, I think grapes are another good option because like if you get a bad grape, you could just move on to another grape, but grapes for the most part are just like good and sweet and like it's a quick thing. I like things that I can have like a lot of, Like I like long-term snacks. So it's like, while I enjoy granola bars, for instance, I'd much rather have like granola cereal that I can pick at, or like a pack of crackers that I can munch on, And so grapes are like nice in that regard. And have you ever had frozen grapes? I would recommend, if you haven't, just like put a bunch of grapes in the freezer and just eat them frozen. Like they're really good. You're forced to spend a week in a non-English speaking country. Which one do you choose? I'd probably wanna go to Japan. Yeah, I mean, I want to go to Japan in general, but like I think with these I would be between like Japan and France, because I like both Japanese and French as languages. But I think as far as cultures are concerned, I'm more interested in Japan, just with video games and anime and whatnot. So yeah, if life was an RPG, which stat would be your highest? Um, that's a good question. I would hope either intelligence or charisma. And when I'm thinking RPG, I'm thinking more like D&D. I was like thinking of that list of attributes. But I would hope those two, because I like to think I'm pretty smart and I like to think I'm pretty good with people. Even though I'm introverted, I think that I have a good way with people. I just need to recharge a lot, So I would be between those two. Assuming you've been to carnivals, is there a carnival game you dislike? Like I've technically been to carnivals, but I never really played many carnival games, because those usually you had to pay separate, like you would pay for admission, in my experience. You'd pay for admission to the venue, but then you'd also have to pay for those specific games. I guess I really haven't been to too many carnivals, like strictly carnivals. It's more like an amusement park. There would be carnival games in addition to that, And I never had a bunch of money growing up. And so we wouldn't like, it was splurging enough just to get access to the place. like again, aforementioned amusement park or whatnot, and it was more expensive to actually like play the games, and so I never really did. Um, but like the games that I dislike the most would probably be the ones where it's like I thought I had a good chance of beating, but then it turns out, the game's kind of rigged. Especially if you don't know how, like you don't know how to combat it. But that's carnival games, right? Um, and so just one example is like, there's like the rope ladder basically, but it's at kind of like a 45-ish degree, maybe not quite that, but at an angle, and you're supposed to like climb up it, reach the end, and you get a prize if you do. But of course, if you don't know how to climb the rope properly, then you're just gonna like flip over and fall. It seems like that's something I would be able to do, but the couple times I remember trying, like I failed and it was frustrating. Yeah, so next question. Chocolate, strawberry, or vanilla? Usually chocolate, sometimes vanilla, almost never strawberry. I'm not a strawberry person, but chocolate is great, vanilla can also definitely be great. Are you interested in alien life? Not particularly. Like I think that aliens exist just because like with the universe as vast as it is, I just don't think that we're probably not the only sentient life, you know? Do I think that they have like visited Earth? Not like I'm not convinced about that. Like Roswell or Area 51 kinds of stuff. Yeah, I don't really believe that. Um, and so, am I interested? I think I would need more information, because just like the very vague concept of do aliens exist, like I think yes, but where do you go from there? So not particularly interested. I would need more to work with. Do you think there is too much sugar in what is supposed to be healthy food? I mean, yes, but I also, that's what makes me like it, the healthy food, which I know makes it unhealthy, but I'm not a healthy boy. I've said this before. Car dealerships sometimes have balloons tied to their cars. Have you ever stolen one? No. I only remember going to a car dealership like twice in my life. And I'm not a steely boy. I'm a good boy. Favorite song from any Pokemon game? I think Azalea Town might have to be the one. That's such a chill but good song. And on SoundCloud, there's a song where someone mashed up Azalea Town's music with Daft Punk's. Oh gosh, what was it actually? Oh gosh, I don't remember what they mashed it up with. Sorry, apparently my webcam is like really bouncy today. Or I'm just hitting my desk more often than I realize. But it was a good mashup is the point. But Azalea Town has really good music. Yeah. What if house cats were the size of lions? Cool or scary? And as clarification, they wouldn't eat you. No, I wouldn't want that. Cats are already bad enough with their zoomies. Imagine a lion zooming around the house, or cats scratching on furniture. Imagine a lion scratching on your furniture. With how much cats eat and like demand that you refill their bowl. Imagine if they were bigger and hungrier. Like, no. Imagine, when cats will just like jump on top of you and like mush your face, like their face into yours. I don't want a lion to be doing that. Like, I'm fine with cats the way they are. Heck, make cats a little smaller. That could be cool. Do items have too much packaging? Absolutely. The other day, I actually ordered this. I just still have the box. I wasn't planning this. I just happened to have it with me. Magic S Pro. Not sponsored or anything, by the way, but it's an adapter, so like I can use my Xbox One controller on like a PlayStation 4. Because I was doing a speed run, and my PlayStation 4 controller died. Like, just the buttons on the right side became all sticky, and I couldn't, like, I would press them, and then the buttons would just be stuck down, and I can't have that during a speed run, So I bought that so I could use my Xbox controller instead. But yeah, like, that little box, it came in, like, a package, like, this wide and, like, this tall, and I'm like, really? Completely unnecessary. So absolutely, things have too much packaging. You're the dictator of everything. What change to the law would you make? Oh gosh, basically just anything liberal, like women have actual bodily autonomy, abortions completely legal, and like free healthcare, gay rights, trans rights, Black Lives Matter, blue lives do not exist, defund the police, and actually like put the proper fund, like, just separate the responsibilities to places they should actually go and properly fund those things. Actors, movie things in general would not make nearly as Oh my gosh, can I say that? Not make nearly as much. There we go, money. I kept mixing up the N's and the M's. They wouldn't make nearly as much money. Neither would like athletes, you know. Teachers would be making a lot more in the meantime. There's just no reason that an actor needs to make like $30 million in a movie. No, piss right off if you think they do. They do not need to make that much money. They don't. And like I support the arts, and you know, I love movies, and you know, actors, like I'm fond of them because like obviously they portray like really cool characters or whatnot, but it's just they don't need to make that much when so many other people are struggling or literally dying. You know? Wow, is that a hot take? It shouldn't be. So yeah, like I said, so dictator, a bunch of liberal stuff. Yeah. You're the dictator of ice cream. What new flavor would you make? Oh, what new flavor? I don't know. I feel like if I had a cool new flavor, like I would have more money than I do right now. You know, like I feel like I would have won some contest or something. Or I don't know, business opportunities. I'm a big fan of cookies and cream. That's one of my favorites. And Rocky Road. So, hey, maybe you could like mix. Maybe you could mix the two somehow. Or not, wait, not Rocky Road. Moose Tracks. I get those mixed up somehow. But cookies and cream and Moose Tracks. It'd be cool to see like a hybrid of those two. All right, moving on. And I apologize for the bouncing webcam. I don't know what the deal is. I mean, again, I'm recording on a laptop, so I guess I hope my hinges aren't dying or something. Where do you get your passion for grammar from? It's something that makes you stand out from other Let's Players in in a refreshing way. Well, thank you. That's hard to say exactly. I've been interested in grammar, I think, since junior high. If not, definitely high school. Like, definitely the beginning of high school. But I think it really started in junior high. And I don't know, because I would just, like, I loved reading, and I loved writing, you know, from a young age. And I remember little bits of like just kind of realizing what some things meant. Like I remember in elementary school, I had this sudden realization at one point. Like I was standing on the blacktop. I remember the general area where I was, you know, but I was standing on the blacktop near like the portables, like portable classrooms, you know. Yeah, I don't know if you had school like that, but they were just basically a single classroom that was hosted outside of the official school building rather than expanding the school building. But someone wanted to hang out, you know, later that day, right? After school. And so I said, okay, I'll tell my mom if I can play. And I had the realization, it's like, no, I'll ask my mom if I can play. You know, like I suddenly realized the difference between ask and tell, that kind of thing. So I don't know if it was, you know, moments like those that sparked it. But, you know, going about to different places throughout my day, whether it was a school or a store or whatever, and just seeing like mistakes that were made or on billboards or whatever, you know, I had this phase where like everything that I was saying, I was spelling out simultaneously in my head, where like it drove me mad eventually. You know, I had to stop myself from doing that, and I don't do it anymore. But definitely helped with, you know, spelling and things like that, which I think in turn helped with typing, because how I type, because I'm a fairly fast typist, you know, how I type is like I just have the word in my head and then I type it. Like I don't like if I were typing like, you know, bloody, for instance, because I'm closet British, I wouldn't think, okay, Bloody. No, I just think bloody, and then my fingers type it out because I know how to spell bloody. Which can be an issue, especially if I'm tired, if there are like homophones, you know, because like if I were trying to spell right, like, oh yeah, I'm hoping to write more often. You know, if I'm tired, I might spell it RIGHT, just because in my head, right. Oh, well, RIGHT, that's right. But yeah. And I liked I liked catching teachers making mistakes too. I wouldn't really point it out to them, but I know in my 10th grade year, I was taking like, you know, introduction to psychology, and my teacher would write like, you know, words, terms on the board. And I would be like, I'm pretty sure that's not spelled correctly. And so I would like write it down in a notebook. And then after class, I would go across the hall to my English classroom, open the dictionary, look it up, and then be like, aha, I was correct. She was wrong. You know, so yeah, and I've always been interested to an extent. It's just high school where it kicked off, I think. So yeah. Also, you definitely recommend Danganronpa if you're in a visual novel mood. All right, thank you for the recommendation. I will keep that in mind. You want to ask something, if nothing else, to give my channel some engagement. Thank you, it's needed. So here's the first nerdy question I thought of. What are some of your favorite video game soundtracks? For whole games, I mean. So like, I can't just pick like a single song from a game, but like I have to find a game where I like every bit of music. I don't know if there is such a game. But you know, Pokemon games often have good soundtracks. You know, Legend of Zelda I mean, basically like I like that style. That particular composer. Is that Koji Kondo? I don't know. I don't know names very well. Fire Emblem has, you know, good music if you like that kind of thing too. Um, Undertale has some really good music, honestly. Yeah, I'll go with those. I'll go with those. Moving on. Do you have plans to Let's Play Arkham Knight at some point? I really enjoyed your playthroughs of the other 3 Arkham games and would love to see you finish out the series. Yeah, I guess I kind of talked about this before, but this is a direct request for this game in particular. Like, you're actually aware that I've played the other ones, so kudos to you. That makes this a little more serious. Because technically, that's 2 people in this Q&A who have requested Arkham Knight. So, you know, like, I'll consider it. I laid out my reasons before why I didn't play it. I was just kind of burnt out from the Arkham games at that point. And Arkham Knight, I'd heard, was just, like, really unstable in terms of, like, crashing or graphical glitches. And since the other games that were more stable already had issues for me, I just didn't think that my computer would be able to handle it. But I could look into possibly playing. Like, you know, I'm not saying that I will play it, but, you know, I'll consider it more than I otherwise would have. So, thank you for the request. Have you continued to watch RWBY after you stopped doing reactions? And if so, what have you thought about the show? I have not continued. The last reaction that I posted was the last episode that I saw. Yeah, because you know, there was all that drama with, I kept getting my videos like copyright claimed, or I think I got some strikes even from Rooster Teeth. And then they, you know, like I got them cleared up eventually, but it was still a pain because it's like, you know, while you have strikes or claims, you're not making any money from those. And, you know, your channel is just kind of like, it's penalized and, you know, people don't get to watch it, etc. So there were issues. I mean, depending on whether it's a claim or a strike, there were some issues and it just didn't feel good personally. And then Rooster Teeth came out with a thing finally where it's like, okay, we give permission to react to things. And so then I was like, okay, I'll go back to reacting to them then. And then they would still get claimed. And so I just got ticked off. And season 4, I wasn't liking it as much as I was enjoying like season 3. Which, you know, I've given like To Be Fairs before, where it's like the main plot arc had just ended at the end of season 3, so this is them starting anew. But like, it was a little shakier, you know, with like the RWBY wasn't even together, like RWBY, the people that made up that team, they weren't even together, and that was a big draw for me. It was like the camaraderie there, and yeah, we got to see them, and they were interacting with other people, but yeah, I just wasn't as into season 4 as I had been season 3, and you know, the build up prior to that, and so that in addition to just being like, you know, just feeling offended and whatnot by Rooster Teeth, basically, for the claims and whatnot, especially after they said reactions are okay. I was just done with it, and I just quit. It didn't help too that like I had done like a bunch of RWBY reactions, right? I think it was when I was doing like Let's React to RWBY instead of like Let's Watch RWBY. With the difference being like instead of having RWBY actually on screen, it was just me, and I would like help you sync up the actual RWBY episode so you could watch it alongside me, but it didn't actually appear in my video. And because I had done so much of that, it was like every day for like a month or something, you know? And like that was all that I was putting out. A lot of people who weren't interested stopped watching. And so like just big viewership decline, etc. So yeah, I haven't continued to watch it. I'm not sure if you've ever said in the past, but you've mentioned being in college, but I don't recall the degree you were pursuing. You Loki went you being Ethan in this case, want to go for voice work or voiceover work, but not sure where to start on that. Some even say you don't need college to do voiceover work, but it can help. I wouldn't imagine you would need college. I think it's more just like if you can provide the voices, you know, if you can provide that acting ability, then I think you would be able to do it. Like a degree is nice because it shows that you do have some like proper training, but I think as long as you can actually deliver what they need, what they're looking for, then you should be fine. Obviously, I'm not into VL myself, so I can't tell you, but yeah, you should consider reaching out to Marissa Lenti on Twitter, because she does voiceover stuff, and like like she's both a voice actress and she does directing, for a lot of death battle stuff and whatnot, and just other anime and whatnot. I say whatnot a lot. But you should consider reaching out to her. She might be able to provide you with some more information. But oh, as for me in college, I was pursuing English. Not because I had plans for the degree, just because I liked English and I wanted a degree. So I have both a Bachelor of Arts in English, with a minor in literary editing, and a Master of Arts in English, with technically an emphasis in literature, but we didn't actually have it like listed on the degree at that point in time. Like when I was in school for that, they were just starting to implement it, but it didn't actually matter. So it was just English. Will your brother possibly be joining you for a future death battle reaction like he had in the past? And if so, it should definitely be for Saitama versus Popeye. Like I can try really hard, but he lives states away from me. Like when we were doing it in the past, we both lived in the same state, and it was just like an hour trip, and he would come and like stay for a weekend or whatever, right? But now he's actually like several hours away, because different state. So it's much harder to actually do any sort of collaboration with him at this point in time. The best we could typically do is just something over Discord, But for reactions, for like collaborative reactions, I don't know. I didn't think that was as ideal. Like it's possible, but yeah, I wouldn't count on it. But I'll think about it. Plans for the future? What sort of stuff interests you outside of the videos you make? I don't really have plans for the future, unfortunately. What sort of stuff interests me? I like reading, I like writing, I like role playing, I like watching YouTube videos, I like watching anime. Yeah. Don't really have a lot of like career ideas or passions, I don't have a lot of job experience, and my mental health keeps me from doing, more basic work that I could otherwise do. So, disappointing answer, but there you have it. How would you describe your career as a content creator? Failed. Hi Riz, how did you get started making YouTube videos? I know you've been doing it for a while, and if you've addressed it elsewhere, I haven't found it. Thanks if you read this. So how I got started was I had watched like some, Tabascus videos, his gameplay of like Sun of the Eight Pages, things like that. And I wanted to be able to share that kind of content, like first with my younger siblings, so they didn't have to like watch over my shoulder as I played a game, but like I could just record a video and then post that. So first with my younger siblings, but then also just with a wider audience. I just wanted to have gameplay experiences and be able to share them with people. I thought that it was, I was entertained by Let's Plays, so I wanted to be able to entertain other people with Let's Plays. That's really just how it started. And then from there, with like Death Battle, my younger brother just suggested that I react to it. Because, Fox was in it, Fox McCloud, and I loved Fox from, Star Fox, Lilac Wars, Adventures, and Assault. So, yeah, I don't think there's really more to it. That's how I got started. This might be a bit personal, but what do you do to keep your mental health, healthy? I know YouTube and life could really wear on it. I don't really know what I do. I don't keep it healthy. I can say that much. I struggle for mental health issues, if that was not clear from, at this point. So I don't know. I mean, as you've seen with YouTube, like, when I get burned out, I just pull back. Like, I've stopped making gameplay videos for now, for like the past few months, I think, right? And I've just been doing death battle reactions because, I committed myself to that much. I made that promise that I would do one every week for this year, and I've been doing it so far, and I want to continue to do it. I want to actually be successful with that promise and finish this year off with a reaction a week. Aside from that, yeah, like, you gotta try to go easy on yourself, Life sucks. Life is hard. It really is. And I don't blame people for struggling. And like, I have it good. I don't have it great, but I don't have a lot of the same hardships that a lot of other people do. But even then, I still have all of these mental struggles. And so, especially for people who have mental struggles and like actual life struggles, like, oh, that's so hard. I'm so sorry, I feel for people. Treat yourself, take it easy on yourself, take care of yourself, like I struggle with this all the time, but just making sure that you're, shower now and then, keep eating, stay hydrated, go on a walk, talk to people, try to have fun, Um, because like I don't really love the whole like, just stay positive, it gets better. But like for me it does, like there are ups and downs, but you have to remember that there are ups. So whenever I'm in a down, it's just like, okay, it's not going to be this bad forever. I don't have a lot of hope for my future as far as like being genuinely happy because, the older I get, the worse that all of my issues have become so far. Largely because like I don't think that I've accomplished enough. The older I get, the weirder it is that my resume is so barren. The older I get, the weirder it is that I have so little relationship experience. Um, and so the older I get, the worse I feel in general about myself and about my life and, possibilities about that. But, you can have really, really, really bad days. And I just have to tell myself, it will get better. It's not necessarily going to get good, but it's not going to be this bad for forever. At the very least, you get a break, right? And then you might get shoved back into it like the very next day or the very next week, whatever. But you just got to keep pushing forward. So, yeah. No, I wish I had a better answer. I wish I had magical solutions, but I don't even for myself, let alone for other people. But just know you're not alone. You're definitely not alone. Lots of struggles, all over the place. Not really a question, but hope you're doing well. Oh, thanks, Relic King. That was really good positioning for that non-question. I hope you're doing well too. I do. How long do you think Death Battle will last? As long as it's making Rooster Teeth money. What is your favorite genre of music and favorite bands or artists? Yeah, so I typically listen to heavier stuff, but basically anything that's just like upbeat, specifically with like a higher tempo can be nice. Yeah, I just like energy, typically, It's not to say I don't like music that has lower energy, because I definitely can. The example I gave earlier in this video, or in this Q&A, because I don't know if I'm going to split this up into multiple videos, because I've been recording for a long time now, was like Lacrimosa by Evanescence. It's not a high energy song, I wouldn't say, but I do like it, And I also don't need it to be like loud or yelly. I don't need hard rock or metal or something, because I also enjoy like Weird Al. But like Linkin Park, Nine Inch Nails, those are both really good bands. They have a lot of good variety. And I have, lots of memories associated with them. So yeah, what is your favorite type of RPG table game? I like Dungeons and Dragons and, different just like tabletop RPGs like that. My favorite though, because you did specify RPG table game, so I assume you're referring to tabletop RPGs. That is a good question. I think it might... I don't know. I was gonna say I think it might be Masks. Masks was a really interesting tabletop system, and I do really like it. And recently, the people who made that, Magpie Games, I believe, they came out with an Avatar: The Last Airbender system that was like used much of the same stuff, but obviously different content because Avatar. Masks, by the way, was like a teenage superhero campaign setting. And yeah, no, it's really fun if you like that kind of thing. But in general, oh, another good one was Star Wars Edge of the Empire. Or no, what was it called actually? Because Edge of the Empire, there was like Edge of the Empire, Age of Rebellion, and like something about the Force. Like three different books, but it was all the same system. It was like Fantasy Flight Games, but it was really good. Because it had a different way of like determining like success and failure, and it wasn't just like you failed or you succeeded. Like there was an in between that could happen, and it was really cool. Like instead of you roll a d20 and you have to meet like a certain target number, you would roll like different. There were like three different kinds. No. Okay, hold on, let me gather my thoughts. It's been a while since I played the system too, like years, so forgive me. But there was one die that was like a basic positive die, and it would determine successes and advantages. There was another die that was the counterpart, so like the basic negative, which would determine failures and disadvantages. And then there were two like special dice, one positive, one negative, that would determine like successes and triumphs and failures and despairs. And so like the successes and the fails would cancel each other out. And the advantages and disadvantages, I believe, would also cancel each other out. I don't think the despairs and the triumphs canceled each other. But what that meant was that you could fail even if you were like masterful at that skill check, and you could succeed even if you like were completely trash at it, just depending on what you rolled. Because it was really just a matter of like you had to roll more successes than fails, and like you would be given negative dice depending on the task at hand, and the positive dice came from your character sheet. Um, but if you succeeded, you could also succeed with advantage. So not only did you like pull it off, whatever you were trying to do, but something else good happens. Or you could succeed with disadvantage. So even though you pulled it off, something bad happened along the way. And then similarly, if you failed, you could have like fail with advantage. So you failed, but something good still happened. Or you failed with disadvantage, so you didn't make it, and then something bad happened. And then even more so with like despair and triumph, like you succeeded, but you got to despair, so something terrible happened alongside it, Like, it was just a really cool narrative system. And what I was going to say earlier was just, in general, I prefer more narrative role-playing than, like, combat, I think that combat is important. I don't think it's necessary, necessarily, but I think it is important in tabletop games, but more to, like, drive character development and plot development. I don't think it should be like the whole thing. I prefer when like overall things are character driven and based upon interactions. I just prefer role playing as an interactive thing. I don't want to just roll numbers and like beat up a bunch of people and then that's the whole session. So yeah, that was a really good system. Masks was a good system by again Magpie Games. But I do enjoy like D&D 3.5 Pathfinder. I'm playing 5th edition for the first time in a Strixhaven campaign. We've only had a few sessions of that, but that's been really fun. I'm playing a Harry Potter knockoff. By the way, screw J.K. Rowling if you didn't know, bloody turf. But yeah, hope that answered your question. Where do you get your stylish hats? The internet. So this one, I think I got this one from Etsy. I got my pink Kirby one. Is it down here? No. I don't know where my pink Kirby one is. I got that from Facebook Marketplace, actually. They were just selling them in bulk, I mean, like, they not selling them in bulk, but they had multiple that they were selling, so I bought one. My Bendy and the Ink Machine one, I got straight from the Bendy and the Ink Machine official site. And I think those are all the beanies I had. I had this idea at one point where I was like, oh, what if I got a beanie to represent, like, every game that I've gotten, like, a speedrun world record in? But a lot of those games are really obscure, and I'd have to do, like, a custom beanie for it. Like, one of the reasons I got this, so I specifically was looking for a white beanie, because at the time I had a black background. And so wearing my black Bendy and the Ink Machine beanie, it would make it harder to differentiate, which not only was harder, like, for just watching the video, but also when I'm making thumbnails about, like, how big to trace around my head, because the black would blend in with the black background. So I got a white beanie so it would stand out, which is also the reason I started just wearing a plain white t-shirt. Just so I myself popped against my black background, even though I don't have that anymore. It's just a habit that kind of stuck. But aside from that, I wanted something that was likewise representative of the big speedrun game that I was playing at the time, and it's still my biggest speedrun game, which is Dragon Ball Xenoverse 2. So this M stands for Majin. I've never watched that far in Dragon Ball Z, but in Xenoverse 2, the character I play as is a Majin. So yeah, it's Majin for a game that I'm world record in, for any percent new game specifically. And yeah. So internet, to answer your question, is where I got these beanies. And as cool as the thought is to get a beanie for each game I've gotten a world record in, some are just too obscure. And I have a decent chunk of records at this point from just games not a lot of people play. Why are you so cool? Similarly, because your perception allows me to be. Thank you for thinking I'm cool. I don't know if I deserve that, but thank you. Any songs that you're really into? Yes. Can You Feel My Heart? I've been listening to that a lot recently. Because I was using it basically as a theme song for one of my character ideas for, like a story concept I have, right? But then apparently, somewhat recently, I guess it became the Giga Chad theme, which I didn't know. Like, I knew it before then from Varian. But like, yeah, so Can You Feel My Heart is, I think it's a really good song. Also by Varian, I love the Valkyrie trilogy. That was a theme that I was using for a different character, or two different characters, because it's technically 3 songs, Valkyrie trilogy. But and those were all in the same like story concept. So that was fun. Electric Callboy also has like some really fun songs that I've listened to somewhat recently. Like We Got the Moves, you know. A lot of songs by Tom Cardy. Like Jurassic Park song is fun. His Santa Claus song is fun with Jeffrey, you know. If you don't know Tom Cardy, you should look him up. He just has a lot of like really comedic songs. He's a amazing performer. Which yes, an amazing performer. I didn't know I was going to say another thing that started with a vowel sound. I'm sorry. Cough, totally a different person and definitely not Nightly. Can you do any impressions of any characters like video game characters, movie characters, cartoon characters, etc.? I have never been good with impressions. It's just not been a thing that I have like it's not been a thing that I've really practiced all that much, nor been like super confident in at all. So I would say no, I can't really do any impressions of characters.
I think my biggest one might be this. And this is more like Tristan from Yu-Gi-Oh! Abridged.
You know, where he's like,
my voice gives me super strength, you know? Or in a few hours, the sun will be rising.
Just that kind of dumb thing. But like, that's basically it. Like, as far as impressions go, if I'm trying to sound like anyone, that's the closest. Other people were like, hey, do your Barney the dinosaur voice. I don't know if I consider that Barney the like, I get where they're coming from, but it's much like it was definitely based on Tristan from Yu-Gi-Oh! The Abridged series by Little Karibo, which is like the Abridged series that started it all. So sorry to disappoint, but no, I'm not good with impressions. What is your most unusual item? I don't know. Do I have an unusual item, really? Honestly, the most unusual item I'm thinking of right now is just like my Fox McCloud cutout from Star Fox Adventures. I do still have it. I think it's just upstairs right now. And no, I'm not going to go get it. I'm sorry. But you could see it, like, if you go back and watch my, like, Fox versus Bucky death battle, like, you could see me holding it. But it's probably the weirdest, like, just weird because, I don't know, I at least don't see a lot of those kind of character cutouts, but it's not, like, a strange item. Like, no one's gonna look at that and be like, what is that, you know? I just don't own a lot of unusual things. I don't own a ton of stuff. Like, as much as this clutter, it's mostly, like, cables and just junk, but I don't think it's, like, unusual stuff. Was there any death battle that is one you wanted to see since you started reacting to death battles? The biggest one for me was Gaara versus Toph. Gaara from Naruto and Toph versus, or from, you know, Avatar: The Last Airbender. And that was largely because, like, one, I did like both of the characters, but two, that was one of the biggest ones that my younger brother wanted to see, and I drew him a picture as a gift of that matchup, which I guess I'll try to put on screen now. I drew this picture. I was actually very proud of it. Like, if I could consistently draw like this, I think I'd honestly be pretty content. But unfortunately, this was like, I don't know. I was just, I was able to draw it really well for my standards, you know? And I can't most of the time. But that's really been it. I'm not one, like I said earlier, to actively imagine like matchups and who would win. Which again might seem weird because I react to death battle, but that's just not really what I think about. Like, I do want to see characters that I am familiar with for the most part, just because it's nice having that personal connection. But it's nice too to see characters that I'm completely unfamiliar with because I get to learn a whole lot. So, yeah. Have you played Kingdom Hearts? And if not, do you plan to? Because they are so good. I have played the first Kingdom Hearts Re-Chain of Memories, so like the Game Boy Advance game, but that was ported, basically, or remade, you know, kind of to the PlayStation 2. And I played maybe half of Kingdom Hearts 2. And then I kept dying like in the Aladdin world and I quit. And part of that too was that like the whole reason that I purchased Kingdom Hearts was because my crush at the time was like a huge Kingdom Hearts fan, you know? And so, you know, like I moved away from that state and, you know, I missed her and everything. And I bought those and I played them over the summer, whatnot. And then like I learned that like she had slept with someone and that hit me hard. And I was like, oh, well, now it's kind of awkward to play these games. So, because then I just kept thinking about that and getting all sad, you know? So that, and just the fact too, I kind of was playing them back to back, and so a little bit of burnout. I'd say those three factors are probably the biggest reasons I quit. Just was dying a bunch on a dumb level, the burnout of playing them back to back, and then the whole I'm sad because my crush did a thing. did a naughty with some other boy. I'm wondering, do you think you might do creepypasta stuff again? Is creepypasta still like a big thing? I know they're obviously like horror in general is still a big thing and like independent horror. But like do things like Siren Head and the Back Rooms, do those count as creepypasta? I wasn't sure if like that kind of fell off at some point. Hey, voice went robot-y for about 3 minutes here, so I'm going to just record it separately, and so it won't be synced up at all with the video. You're welcome, kind of. So yeah, I might do creepypasta stuff again. I don't have any plans for it, but if you have any suggestions, feel free to let me know in the comments below, and I can consider it. I can take a look at some things. Favorite death battle since returning? That would be either between Poe versus Iron Fist, and Goku Black versus Reverse Flash. 1. Favorite Pokemon? Vulpix. Gotta love Vulpix, so cute. 2. Cheese or cheese? Well, between those options, gotta go with cheese. And 3. Least favorite death battle episode? The 7 Battle Royale. Hey Riz, I have a question. Can you see if you can do a walkthrough of LEGO Star Wars The Skywalker Saga on the day it comes out? I think you'll get more people that way, plus it's a really popular game/movie. So by this point, I've definitely missed that date of when the game comes out. But also, I'm not really interested in LEGO games anymore. I really enjoyed them when they first came out, like when LEGO Star Wars was, a brand new thing. I had a lot of good times playing those with my siblings. But the more LEGO games I played, I began to realize basically all the same, just recycled humor. It's always just, hunting for the studs, that kind of thing. So unfortunately, I really just have no interest in playing that. Favorite Elder Scrolls / Fallout game? So I haven't played too many, I don't think. I've played Oblivion, Skyrim, Fallout 3, and Fallout New Vegas. A little bit of Fallout New Vegas, not all of it. And out of those, I would say that my favorite was Skyrim. I actually did play Oblivion on my channel. If you'd be interested, you could check that out. Just, look it up. This was one of the first series I did, so this is old Riz content, which I know a lot of that is kind of cringe and awkward. So is it a good series? No, but you can look it up and watch that if you want to. Do you have any interest in and or knowledge of Dark Souls or any other game by From Software? I have just a little bit of knowledge of Dark Souls. Do I have interest? No, I really don't. I actually at one point was going to try to play it as a Let's Play. This was actually just late 2021, so it was really recently. But I did so poorly, and I got so frustrated that I just never went back. And this is even after I ranted to my younger brother, and he informed me that, I was going to the wrong place. I was going to some place, that was over-leveled for me and needed to fall back. Even after doing that, I still kept dying all the time. I just wasn't thinking I was going to get the dodging down, and I just wasn't having fun. So not something that interests me personally. Who would win in a fight, a taco or a cheeseburger? Obviously a cheeseburger. Have you ever tried to pick up a taco? It shatters in your hand. Like a cheeseburger would do one body slam and that taco is screwed. That's end of story. Given your step away from YouTube was job and living situation related, how is that going? Well, I'm currently unemployed and I'm living in my mom's basement. So, take that for what you will. Hamsters or rabbits? Rabbits. Why do you make videos? For yourself? For me? A little bit of both. I like the feeling of sharing in an experience with people. And YouTube is a great way to do that. I like the engagement. And I really like hearing when I've made a positive impact on someone's life. When people come back to me and they're I've been watching you for X many years, or I watched you when I was a child. It's so cool to see you still doing it or whatever. I love hearing that. And so that's why, partly for me, and then partly for other people too, because I've always wanted to be able to provide, an escape, a distraction. The world sucks, life is hard, right? And so I want to be able to provide content where people can kind of just forget about all that for a little bit and just enjoy themselves, just relax, likewise sharing an experience with someone else. And so I hope that I've been able to provide that for people. But yeah, so for myself and for all of you, that's why I make videos. Who is Grestar? It's this guy, though some people might argue that it's this guy. And if my folder is correct, that was actually the last question, which is an interesting question to end on. So I've now been recording for 3 hours and 1 minute. When I said this video was going to be long, I thought like 90 minutes. Nope, I've been recording for twice that. So obviously I'll edit it down to some extent at least to like cut out, you know, pauses or whatever. Or if I ramble a little bit too much, I might try to cut that off. But it's looking like this is going to be at least 2 separate videos, maybe more. So yeah, I don't know. I I hope that you enjoyed this. I hope you enjoyed learning a little bit more about me. I apologize for all of the depressing stuff, mostly about depression. But like I said, I just wanted to be honest with these questions that I was given, you know? So if you have any more questions, please feel free to let me know in the comments below. If you have any game recommendations or things like that, likewise, let me know in the comments. Thank you all for your support. I hope that I can continue to entertain you, to lift you up in some way or other, for as long as I continue to do YouTube, and hopefully, even after I quit. That is one of the positive things I think, is that even if I were to stop, I do know that I've left behind a lot of videos, and I hope that people, now or in the future can go back and enjoy them, at least a little bit. I know that a lot of my early stuff is like super cringe and awkward, but yeah. Thank you all so much for your patience. Thank you all so much for watching. I do hope you enjoyed this, and with that, we're calling it here. So have a good one, everybody.